Hey, welcome to Books I'd Recommend if I was just getting started into reading. Let's talk about it. When I was looking for these books, I really wanted to find a whole bunch of different genres because everyone's so different in what they enjoy. My personal favorite is horror, so if y'all want recommendations on horror specifically, I think I'd have a lot to say about that. But these books that I picked are books that helped me get back into reading, or books that I thoroughly enjoyed outside of my genre preference that I think other people would as well. To begin, we're starting with the #1 selling genre of all time, which is romance. This is more of a fun and whimsical romance, and this is more of a reality. I don't want to say this is reality. This doesn't happen to people, this book, but it's in a modern day, as opposed to Bridgerton, which takes place in the 1800s. For people who are looking for a little cute, slightly spicy, but wonderful storytelling with amazing characters, I would definitely recommend an Emily Henry book. This is the first one I ever read, which is why I'm showing you guys this one. This book is about a woman named Nora, who's kind of a uptight corporate girly, who meets this guy, who is kind of what she believes to be an uptight corporate dude, when her and her sister go on vacation to a small town based off a book that one of her clients wrote. They meet each other. It's cute. Romance is probably a genre that I read the least, but this was something really fun. It's a good summer read, a poolside read, and it's enough of everything to get real enjoyment out of it without it being overwhelming. Next we have Bridgerton. This is the 4th book. Don't start with the 4th book, but this is the one that I own. I started reading Bridgerton after the first season came out, and I have thoroughly enjoyed every single one that I've read. I've only read up to this one, so I can't say the latter books are as good, but again, there's just enough fun and whimsy, but also real life themes within these books to make them fun and also interesting to read. This specific one is Penelope and Colin's story. If you watched the season, this book is better than the season on Netflix. I'm just putting it out there. A huge tip I have for reading books, if you're new to it or want to get back into it, is reading books based off current media, like Bridgerton, or something like Harry Potter. The Harry Potter books get further from the movies the further you go into the series. The earlier Harry Potters are much easier to read than the later ones. These are YA, and as you get further into the series, they get darker just like the films. So if you're wanting to read books based off media, this is great. The Hobbit's great. Anything that already has a world connected to them now, wonderful for reading. Next we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. This also has been made into an Apple TV series, I believe. I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it. But this book is so incredibly well written with wonderful characters and an insane amount of heart, but also humor, where you follow this main character who's so unapologetically herself, who's going through her life being a woman in a time and in a profession where women weren't common or allowed to do much. This is incredibly fast-paced for how thick this book is. I loved it. My Nana read it and told me I need to get it, and I cannot thank her enough for this recommendation. Moving on to the genre that I think I know better than those is the thriller, horror, eerie vibes, and we're starting off with The Island of Dr. Moreau. If you're someone who really wants to get into classics and has decided for whatever reason that you should start your journey in that genre, I would absolutely reach for a novella, anything short. And The Island of Dr. Moreau, wonderful example. Due to the fact that this is a classic, it is a product of its time. You are going to be reading descriptions about things that don't need as much description as they are describing. However, I think it's important to read classics because a lot of books today are based on retellings, or so much information is taken from or inspired by them. However, classics can be very hard to read, so starting with something small, like this book, I would 100% recommend. This book is essentially about a guy who shipwrecks on an island. There's a doctor on this island who's doing some weird and just gross things. I don't want to give it away because anything I say after that will 100% give away the plot of this book, but I think it's a wonderful entry point into classics because it brings you in with enough, I wonder what that could be, but also it's not too hard to read, and it's not something that you'll be wanting to put down after 10 minutes because you just struggled to read a chapter about why the sky is blue. Next we have Animal Farm. I think a lot of people had to read this in school, which put people off of it outside of school. However, this is one of my all-time favorite books. This is a wonderful mirror to society, really at any point in time. This book is about a farm. It's from the perspective of the animals who decide they're going to uprise against the human farmer. This is a wonderful reflection of what societies, communities, groups, situations can become and will become. The ending, mastery. The last book I'm going to be recommending to you guys is a thriller called Home is Where the Bodies Are. Now, this is the only book that I'm recommending that wasn't my favorite. However, the amount of people who I've heard or talked about this book saying how much they enjoyed it and how it made them want to continue reading this genre is having me recommend this to you. Because I read this genre so much, I think to me it was a little slow and not exactly what I wanted out of it. However, it is incredibly well written. This is about 3 siblings who go back home after their mother has died. They find an old VHS tape, put in the VCR, and they find some horrific things that their parents had done. If you're interested in anything like that, I've heard so many people recommend this book, so I would 100% check it out, give it a try, and just see what's going on. So those are my recommendations for books that'll hopefully get you back into reading or get you into reading at all. But let me know your opinions on the books that I recommended, and if y'all have any books that you want to recommend, let me know. I'm always looking for new things to read. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.